Hey everyone, it's me, Andy.
And I'm Sean.
And this is the Commander's Brew.
This week, Secret Gishath.
Hello everybody, welcome back to 130th episode of the Commander's Brew podcast. You're here. Woo! Welcome to listeners, welcome to viewers on youtube.com/commandersbrew. Welcome to anyone who just went to our website and is streaming the thing audio as well. What's up? There's lots of different ways you can consume this.
Welcome to someone else in the room overhearing this.
Yeah, or someone else in the car. If you're in your car and you're listening and you, the person in the passenger seat, didn't particularly choose this podcast, but you're sort of resigned to let the driver pick what he or she wants to listen to, hello to you as well, and welcome to episode 130. It's going to be a good one.
Yeah. Very interesting. This is the Commander's Brew podcast. You know what we do. We pick a theme. We brew a deck. It's going to be $50 or less. We're going to come at you with that deck. Brought to you by the Wizard's Tower, wizardtower.com. Brought to you by Ultimate Guard Sleeves and Boxes and our wonderful patrons from patreon.com. All y'all put together help out in immense ways. Let's hear a specific recorded ad from the Wizard's Tower now. Yep.
Yeah.
It does look like, just from pictures alone, it looks like the dinosaurs have the most compassion for each other.
Yeah, it does look like that.
All these dinosaurs are like little dinosaurs that come when a bigger dinosaur, like when you hurt the little dinosaur, the bigger dinosaurs show up, all that stuff. In Rage.
Yeah, in Rage they come, they help their friends if they get hurt.
Yo, you think pirates helping each other out?
Nah, man. It's pure dinosaurs. Compassionate dinosaurs.
Compassionors.
Compassion sores. We don't do this very often, but I just wanted to say, I just wanted to take another second here at the top of the show to say thank you very much to all of the people who signed up on patreon.com/commandersbrew and have decided to donate anything to this show to help support it, because you really do make a big difference. And I don't know, we don't take we don't do a lot of specific thank yous. We like to get into the action pretty quickly, you know. But this time I think it's just worth it to say thanks. A lot of people are always like, I can't afford to do this right now, but I want to just do a little bit. And it's like, don't even worry about it at all. Any kind of support at all is helpful. Just listening to the show is all we ever ask of anyone. So it's above and beyond to even just give $1 per episode. It really is. It's a major difference.
It's true.
It's true. And it allows us to do more and do more things. And we've got some big plans coming up that we're going to be able to announce, in a little bit once we get things sort of squared away. Of course, we currently have our playmats. That's one of the things that we were able to do because of the help of people on Patreon and just the general support of the listeners in general. If you head over to Big Cartel, it's Big Cartel. It's commandersbrew.bigcartel.com. That's what it is. So that's the place where you can go and buy our playmat.
That's an online store.
That's right. It is an online store.
We're big time now.
Yeah, big time. The website that lets you for free sell something if you have less than 5 products, which we certainly do. We certainly do.
Less than 5 products is infinitely more than 0 products.
And the idea with these is that we just want to get them out to people. We just wanted to, sort of give back to you guys in the form of this playmat. I don't know. It's a lot of fun. It was designed by Matt Strott. It's got a ton of in jokes if you've been listening to the show, and a lot of people have been asking us about about those in jokes, about those like those characters that you're seeing on the playmat. Like, what are they from? I'd like it'd be nice to have like an answer key. And the good news is that Matt Stroud again coming through in the clutch. He has designed and like a little answer key for us, and you can actually come right after this episode. You can view it at commandersbrew.com. So just go there if you're stoked about your playmat or you're not sure, you want to know like what references will I understand. Just go to commandersbrew.com and you'll see the little answer key, and it'll show you all the different little jokes and from which episode they are each from.
Yeah.
So you can go back and like and listen to them, listen to the references,
listen to those jokes being born. And let me tell you, I'm I know I always laugh at my own jokes the most, but like we'd only put them in because they were the funniest ones. Like they're pretty funny.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, listen. Don't take our word for it. We're gonna laugh at our jokes all the time. That's kind of why they ended up being like memorable things in the first place, is because they made us laugh. But hopefully they'll make you laugh too, and you can relive them each time you play Commander with your friends. Right?
Yeah.
And people will be like, hey, what is that playmat you have there? And you'll be like, oh, man, remember how the floor of a magic card is just a magic card sitting on the ground and not knowing anything about it at all?
Yeah,
that's
in there.
Certainly one reference that's in there.
I love it. Oh, man.
Great. Well, so this is what we're doing now. We're brewing a deck. We got a brand new deck for you. Sean's worked up something interesting for us here today. Why don't you let him in on it?
Right. So it's always been just in my craw that they
stuck
made,
in your craw.
It's been in my craw that they made Arcane Adaptation, which is that card. I guess that should have been the first card we put up there. Anyway, it's Secret Gishath, and Gishath wants to pull out dinosaurs from your deck. Let's read what Gishath does.
Sure.
5 red, green, white. Legendary Dinosaur Avatar, 7/6, Trample, Vigilance, Haste. Whenever Gishath, Sun's Avatar, deals combat damage to a player, reveal that many cards from the top of your library, put any number of dinosaur creature cards from them onto the battlefield, and the rest on the bottom in a random order. Now, we got more dinosaurs with Rival of Ixalan, so like you could make a better dinosaur deck for sure. But I always wanted to just say, I don't want those restrictions. I just want any creature to be hit with Gishath. So,
right.
And then Arcane Adaptation is that blue enchantment that turns all your creatures, no matter where they are in your deck, library, hand, to whatever you want, aka dinosaurs. But Gishath isn't blue, so we gotta add blue. But then that makes me think of the enchantment conspiracy. Anyway, let's just get into this. We're already in.
See where you're going. Now, was the Avengers episode at all an influence on this one?
You know what? Not directly. I think it was helpful to think of ways to like tutor stuff up for sure.
Yeah.
But the main inspiration which I will talk about in how to search up Gishath section of the episode, is the red Forerunner that puts a dinosaur straight on top of your deck.
Ah, okay, cool.
Yeah. So since we're going 5 colors, because we want black for some more tutors, and we want blue for Arcane Adaptation, we got General Tazri as the commander, because General Tazri is the cheapest 5-color commander I could find who, might have a little bit of a use.
Yeah, she's a 5-color commander that's actually easy to cast.
Yeah, right?
That's one thing that like she has over all the other 5-color commanders as well. Like even if you have a 5-color commander that isn't doing anything, like isn't like, at least you can cast General Tazri without having all 5 colors of mana.
Right. And this deck is mainly a Naya deck, but splashing blue and black for the extra stuff anyway, so it's the General Tazri works out perfectly. And the ability to like tutor up an ally whenever you cast General Tazri, that's not the worst. Like I put a couple of like mana dork allies in there just to kind of help the cause.
Yeah. That's good. Is there a world where you get Arcane Adaptation and Conspiracy and you name dinosaurs for one and allies for the other?
Oh, I guess you would. Yeah, I never even thought of that. I never even thought of it. It's very difficult to get both of those.
Yeah, I would imagine.
Right? Like there's so much tutoring required. Anyway, difficult brew. So the two enchantments, as you know, our conspiracy and our arcane adaptation. Do you want to read one? I'll read one and you read one.
Yeah,
Let's team it up.
Let's go conspiracy here. 3 black for the enchantment that says, as conspiracy enters the battlefield, choose a creature type. Creatures you control are the chosen type. The same is true for creature spells you control and creature cards you own that aren't on the battlefield.
Key, right? Arcane adaptation, 2 and a blue. As it enters the battlefield, choose a creature type. Creatures you control are the chosen type in addition to their other types. The same is true for creature spells you own and creature spells you own that aren't on the battlefield. Now, Xenographed is not in here because it doesn't work on your library, right? That card doesn't affect your library, and that's the only thing that we care about really for Gishath.
The notable difference between, I just wanted to mention, between conspiracy and arcane adaptation is that arcane adaptation lets, besides, the color and the cost and everything, arcane adaptation allows them to retain their original creature type as well as the one you're naming, whereas conspiracy just says they are that type.
Yeah, if you get conspiracy down before you cast Hazard, you're not getting any allies.
Yeah, no allies that way, exactly. So actually, what I just said earlier does that even work?
It does if conspiracy goes down first,
right?
And you make them all dinosaurs.
Yes, you're right.
Then arcane comes down and they become allies in addition to that.
Right.
Yeah. Complex, man. Complex. Yeah. Tough brew. It's not my style. Not my style of deck. I got to admit. But
really?
I had to try.
Okay. All right.
I had to try. It's just. Anyway, salty. Already salty.
Well, yeah. How are you salty? It's about a brew. You haven't even played it yet.
I know. Anyway. Okay. Yeah. I'll go into it.
Oh, you are getting salty.
I am. So anyway, the most fun part of the deck is how to get Gishath. Wizards gave us lots of generous ways to tutor up Gishath and get him on top of the deck or into our hand, and that's wonderful. The first one is Mwanvuli Beast Tracker.
You're just mad that you had to say that name.
No, man, I'm going to say that name. Mwanvuli. 1 green, Human Scout 2/1. When it enters the battlefield, search for a creature card with Death Touch, Hexproof, Reach, or Trample. Reveal it, put it on top of your library. So Gishath has Trample, that gets Gishath. And also gets a bunch of other things if we already happen to have Gishath. There's a lot of Trample in this deck.
Mwanvuli Beast Tracker is a pretty solid option for a dinosaur deck, in whether your dinosaurs are secret or not, right? Like this is a pretty solid little budget tutor, I'd say.
I think so, for sure. Yeah. What's up next?
Oh, yeah. Okay. What's up next? That's a great idea. I should look at what is coming up next because I haven't done that yet. All right. Great. Next is, oh, man, this is another one. Another solid option for the dinosaur deck. Fierce Empath. 2 and a green for an elf. It's a 1/1, but it says when Fierce Empath enters the battlefield, you may search your library for a creature card with converted mana cost 6 or greater. Reveal it. Put it in your hand. Shuffle your library. Classic. So this one you get right to your hand.
Yeah. Even better. It doesn't take that draw step. Also the weirdest looking elf I've ever seen.
Yeah, he got big feet. Like this elf sitting on a spiky tree and he got big feet.
He's weirdly hairy.
What manner of birch tree is that he's sitting on? Look how spiky those birch branches are.
Do you think this is an extreme close-up. Do you think he's in the fur of a giant beast?
Is he so small and he's in... Yes. That might be it. That's crazy. He's like when you see cartoon fleas.
Yeah.
On cartoon dogs. Like they have like a little house and the fur of the dog are like trees. That's what this guy's doing.
Yeah, little he's a flea, and little did they know he summoned them, so they shouldn't be itchy.
Yeah, right. Fierce Empath. He's the whole reason you're there, giant dog.
Yes. So moving on. Eldritch Moon gave us Thalia's Lancers, 3 white, human knight, first strike 4/4, which is like a decent body anyway. Like in a little bit of testing, very often it's like, well, opponent has very few good attacks into a 4/4 first striker. When Thalia's Lancers enters the battlefield, search your library for a legendary card, reveal it, put it into your hand, shuffle your library. Gishath hits on all these axes and is tutorable by all these manners.
Yeah, all these manners. Thalia's Lancers too, like less than 50 cents.
I think it. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why. I guess it's like not that good in Commander. Maybe you don't have a ton of legendaries, especially now that like planeswalkers
It's kind
count.
of interesting because this wasn't, I guess, affected by the Planeswalker rule change, but Captain Sisay was in a big and major way. Now that's repeatable right on the card, obviously, Captain Sisay, and can be your commander, I suppose. But he was running a green-white Planeswalker deck. Like, I don't think people are doing that. I think, yeah, I don't know. I guess Thalia's Lancer is also a little more accessible. Anyways, talk about the budget stuff later. Thalia's Lancers is a good one. And then the one that I guess kind of inspired the whole
Yeah.
thing, right? Forerunner of the Empire, 3 and a red. For a 1/3, Human Soldier from Rivals of Ixalan. When the Forerunner enters the battlefield, you search for your library for a dinosaur card. You reveal it, put it on top of your shuffle your library, then put it on top. Obviously, you don't do it in reverse. And then whenever a dinosaur enters the battlefield under your control, you may have Forerunner of the Empire deal 1 damage to each creature.
Now, thank goodness that's a May.
Yeah.
Because we're gonna hopefully the plan is hit with Gishath and flip a bunch of everything off of our deck. And they're all gonna be dinosaurs.
Yeah, there was recently a video I saw on like the Magic subreddit where Paulo Vitor Damadorosa, that pro player,
Yep.
he hit the Polyraptor and
Oh, yeah.
Forerunner combo, where it's just like an infinite combo of making as many Polyraptors as you want.
Oh my god, because it deals 1 damage to each of them, and then they
Yeah, then
duplicate themselves.
They duplicate themselves, and so on and so on. Yeah, pretty cool, pretty fun.
Wow.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
That card's probably expensive, right? Maybe. It's like
Polyraptor.
It's like 8 mana or something, so it's maybe not. Anyways, not important. This is these Forerunners, man. I'm like loving these cards for Commander, right? Like I'm really into them. Obviously in these tribal decks, they're just so strong. They really add another like level of consistency to these kind of newer tribes. You know, the white being the vampires and dinosaurs, of course.
Yeah, and like big fan of this. We have so many options, like just in this category of getting Gishath, right? Like Gishath, no problem. And there's even more ways that we haven't talked about here. We mentioned black is in here for conspiracy, so of course we're running a couple of your basic tutors in there because they work for Gishath or the enchantments. But yeah, so let's go on. How are we going to find those enchantments? That's the other part. So this is part 1, and part 2 is finding the enchantments. I want to talk about increasing ambition. I don't run sorcery, like black sorcery tutors very often, but I think it's just so key in this kind of deck. 4 and a black for sorcery. Search your library for a card, put it in your hand. If increasing ambition is cast from your graveyard, search for 2 cards and put them in your hand. And flashback's cost is 7 and a black, so it's expensive. But if you get to that point, I say crack increasing ambition as soon as you can off the top, like as soon as you have a good chance to do it, and then get whatever you want, because you can flash it back for just 3 more mana, and you could get 2 things. So that could be Gishath and your enchantment. If you have one of those already, just like both enchantments to get allies and dinosaurs going, whatever you want.
Okay. I was about to say there's another card, but I'll read this one first. The next one, you're gonna see this one a lot when it comes to Shantabaris brews and
I love them.
and just Commander's brews in general, because we're big on this card right now. It's Tamio's Journal. 5 generic mana for the legendary artifact that says at the beginning of your upkeep you investigate, which is of course put out a clue token, and then you tap it and sacrifice 3 clues, search your library for a card, and put that card into your hand, then shuffle your library. Now this is, like, don't get us wrong here, this is a slow tutor. You have to pay 5 mana and then wait 3 turns, essentially. So like you're not getting the card you want right away, but this is a card that does add other value, like other than the option to tutor. It's putting out these clues, which you can obviously use to sacrifice and draw cards. If you have anything that deals with, you know, artifacts and things like that, it's going to be helpful having artifacts out in sort of other decks. But I do like it as just the occasional card draw, and it's non-threatening, right? Like people are probably not going to like prioritize Tamio's Journal for removal highly over a lot of the other stuff that they're going to see on the battlefield, I think. So that's one of the reasons I like it. it's a very strong card, but because it's kind of slow, people don't see it as like a big threat. And before you know it, you've got those 3 clues and you're getting the card you want.
Yeah, it's true.
And especially if you just put this in as like kind of a form of card draw.
Well, that's the other benefit, because like we're primarily a Naya deck, right? We do have blue, but we're just splashing for Arcane Adaptation, so we're not drawing cards very easily otherwise.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when you have like really good access to blue, I don't use it very often, but when blue's not involved, or like it's a splash color or something, like I think Tammy's Journal is good in a couple of those other combinations.
Yeah, big time.
Yeah.
Okay, now let's talk about a couple of actual dinosaur. Oh, did you want to mention another card?
I'm still looking for it. I forget the name of it.
Okay.
So
okay.
You go ahead.
Sure. So a couple of actual dinosaurs in the deck. This is so if somehow you have Gishath going, but you don't have your enchantments going, these are possible hit targets for Gishath. Verdant Sun's Avatar, 5 green for a dinosaur avatar, 5/5, just came out in Ixalan. Whenever Verdant Sun's Avatar or another creature enters the battlefield under your control, you gain life equal to that creature's toughness. So this is an expensive dinosaur. We would love to hit it with Gishath. This is also big time backup for when we have the full dinosaur package going with the enchantments, because we're probably going to flip over 3 or 4 big creatures and we're just going to gain a ton of life from them because of the Verdant Sun's Avatar.
Yeah, Verdant Sun's Avatar. This is an ability that I find, everyone's kind of like, oh yeah, that's fine, I suppose, but it's big. It really does allow you to, just set up, right? Like we look at Ghostly Prison and Propaganda and things like that, but if you're able to reliably put down any kind of size of creatures really with one of these guys out, whether it's a Verdant Sun's Avatar or like in other decks you've got Tristani that does it as well. It really does allow you to get yourself set up and stay in a game without having to block and throw creatures away that way.
Yeah,
Very
and
solid.
yeah, for sure, very solid. And then a lot of the creatures we're flipping down are, big creatures, which, if that gains you a bunch of life and puts a big creature down, that's as good as a Ghostly Prison. Ain't nobody attacking into you that way.
Yeah, totally. Next we have Temple Altasaur. 4 and a white for a 3/4 dino that says, if a source would deal damage to another dinosaur you control, prevent all but one of that damage.
Great. So
yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Now, one of the dangers of Gishath is we got to get him through, and opponents may just double, triple block just to be like, well, at least I'll kill it and, I'll lose some stuff. Temple Altasaur makes it much harder to do that.
Yes, it does. Death touch obviously still going to be a problem for dinosaurs, but how often do you come across so much death touch? You know what I mean? But yeah, this is a great card for the tribe. All your fake dinosaurs and real dinosaurs are going to benefit from this guy. I found the card.
Ooh, okay.
And this is one that we've featured on the show before, but I feel like we haven't talked about in a long time. And for this deck, I think it's worth mentioning. It's called Lost Oromancers. We're talking about tutors. We're talking about fighting enchantments. It's tough to do that without black because in budget decks because the white tutors are so expensive. Well, Lost Oromancers is a bit more. Yeah, it's like 50 cents. So it's 2 and 2 white for a creature, 3/3 human wizard with vanishing 3. So what vanishing is this permanent comes into play with 3 time counters on it. At the beginning of your upkeep, remove a time counter from it. When the last is removed, you sacrifice it. So it doesn't exile or anything. You just sacrifice it. So that's kind of important to know if you're dealing with sacrifice decks and graveyard stuff. Anyways, when Lost Oromancers is put into a graveyard from play, if it had no time counters on it, you may search your library for an enchantment card and put it into play if you do shuffle your library. So this tutors it to the battlefield.
Yeah, you know what? I was too hard on this card earlier, when I was brewing, because I feel like if anything happens and there's still time counters on it, it was just a waste. If anyone rafts the board before all the time counters are gone. But if I'm going to run Tammy's Journal, this is the same speed as Tammy's Journal to tutor, and this puts it right into the battlefield. So arguably, this ought to go in. I think I misjudged it.
I think it's good, and I haven't managed to play with it yet, but it looks decent to me. Like it's like it's one of those things where it's like it's kind of just non-threatening. It's like, what do you have out there? A Lost Oromancers? It's like, oh, okay, whatever. Like, what does that do? Okay, when it dies, you get an enchantment. Okay, whatever. Like, I feel like that's gonna be the no one's gonna be like, oh my god, we gotta get rid of that. Like, get rid of it. Like, but really, it's the best enchantment in your deck. Like, as long as it stays out there.
It is.
If it does what it wants to do.
Yeah,
that's what it represents. So that's how people should treat it. But I guarantee you, they won't.
I agree with everything you're saying. I've never. This is always a card that I have in a little pile, and I usually end up cutting it because I just assume that maybe Lost Oromancers doesn't get the heat, but in 3 turns of development, there's going to be enough heat that someone's going to drop a Wrath, and then this guy will have been just like basically a waste of mana.
Well, I mean, you could, having something get removed, calling it a waste of mana, you can say that about every card, really.
Well,
you can say that about the enchantment you're about to play if someone has a naturalize, Like, I think that
I suppose, but and then even Tamio's Journal, there's more creature wraths, at least in our meta anyway. I think in the average meta,
I think in the average, there is for sure.
There's more creature wraths than ways to deal with like pinpoint. Like if someone has a pinpoint enchantment removal and they hit your enchantment, like that's the game.
But you can't argue that in a budget deck, something that isn't running black for regular tutors and wants enchantments should not run Lost Oromancers. Like if you're budget and you're in like white, blue or something, or white green, like this is a pretty good card, right? Like if you can't buy the idyllic tutors or academy rectors or whatever, right?
Yeah. I mean, because like we're also running like diabolic tutor, right? Which is 2 black for a card. So like, I mean, that's the same price.
Yeah, and we're running it for conspiracy. So like we have access to black. So Lost Oromancers might not be as good in this deck. But like if you're running a deck that doesn't have black and you still want to tutor up some enchantments, I think that this is one of the better budget options.
I should actually put this in a deck. I've never actually run it. It's always gets the cut. I should put it in to see if I ever get to cash it in.
Yeah. I think it's worth a look for sure.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, that's the hardest part of the enchantments anyway. So great. So we've spent a lot of time and cards on setting up the combo, right? Setting up Gishath, turning everything into dinosaurs. So what are some of our honorary dinosaurs that we're going to recruit, right? I would love to flip over a Terastodon dinosaur, which arguably should be a dinosaur based on the name. Don't you think?
Well, Terastodon, I guess it's like Mastodon, which is not a dinosaur.
Anyway. But
if it was a Pterostosaur, I would say yes, because that would mean it was like a lizard, but it's a mammal.
Yeah. Fine. 6 green elephant. We know this one. 9/9. When Terastodon enters the battlefield, you can destroy up to 3 target non-creature permanents. This includes planeswalkers. This includes lands. For each permanent put into a graveyard this way, its controller puts a 3/3 green elephant creature token onto the battlefield. 99 times out of 100, those 3 elephants are way worse than the things you end up destroying with it. And it is up to 3, so you don't even have to destroy anything if you really don't want to throw around three elephants.
Yeah.
Solid fake dinosaur.
He's big. He's got, dinosaur-like horns. It's great. Another good new recruit dino, Moldgraph Monstrosity. I love this card in Commander, especially in these ones that like can cast things for free kind of stuff. Like if you got a big creature, you get it for free. It's great. Moldgraph Monstrosity, 4 green, so 7 in total for an insect. It's an 8/8 with trample, and it says when Moldgraph Monstrosity dies, exile it, then return 2 creature cards at random from your graveyard to the battlefield. Again, loving this card in decks like these where you've got a bunch of massive creatures out, because the fact that it exiles itself when it dies is like kind of a bummer, because you can't like abuse it and keep doing it. But you trade this giant 8/8 trample for whatever killed it, which is probably something substantial, for 2 other probably huge monsters. Moldgraph Monstrosity is solid.
Solid, dude.
Yep.
And then I want to highlight Stalking Vengeance. 5 red, red for an avatar. It's 5/5. Now it's a dinosaur avatar. Haste. Whenever another creature you control dies, it deals damage equal to its power to target player. So, like, we've already mentioned a Terrestrial, which is a 9/9, Moldgraph Monstrosity, which is 8/8. We've got Verdant Sun's Avatar, which is a 5/5. Most of the recruit dinosaurs are big, tramply monsters. Like that. That's kind of the modus operandi of the deck. Is we just want to flood the board with gigantic attackers that must be dealt with, so that the backup plan, if we don't get it rolling, is like, well, I'm just going to drop these 8/8 tramplers anyway, and you're going to have to deal with them sooner or later because they'll just start running you over.
Yeah. Stalking Vengeance is like a reverse Warstorm Surge.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, this card's really cool. This card's really good. I should probably include this in my deck that is very similar to this, the MacLeod deck, which I've talked about lots. But
oh yeah.
Yeah, this is a good card. Yeah, this Wrath Protection, if you've got even just like 3 or 4 dinosaurs out, like this can potentially deal, I don't know, what, like 20, 25, almost maybe 30 damage, depending on what you've got out there. Like Terracodon deals 9.
Well, and I love that, like, excuse me, Moldgraph Monstrosity is an 8/8 trample, right? So I attack you with your 8/8 trample. How are you gonna block it, right? If you chump it, you take 7 or like almost 8. If you let it through, you take 8, and if you block it somehow profitably and it dies, you're still gonna take 8.
That's right, Stalking Vengeance. Yeah, it's true. Yeah, this makes blocking in general pretty much a nightmare for your opponents. It seems like. Yeah. And dealing with your creatures, really good.
Yeah, I like it.
So yeah, go ahead.
And that's just a touch on what we haven't talked about as just other ways to help Gishath get through, right? We want ways to we'll kind of come up to them in some of the 3 stars and some of the surprises, I think. But there's other stuff at play here. But so far it's been a lot of work. It's been a lot of work to get it rolling. And it relies heavily on tutors, which is and then one thing that I haven't included is a ton of recursion either, because as I said, every card you put that isn't like a big fake dinosaur target or a way to get it just dilutes what this deck is supposed to be. It's no good to turn everything into a dinosaur and you hit with Gishath and you flip one target that is worth it, right? The whole point is to sneak out creatures you shouldn't be allowed to get out for free.
It seems to me that the problem that this deck would run into / is running into is that not only is your commander very important to your commander in brackets in quotes, so Gishath, who's not your commander. So not only is that key to the strategy, but the Arcane Adaptation / Conspiracy is also key, and you don't have any of that to start off with. Like you don't get any parts that you need. Whereas you can hide things in your deck. You can hide your commander. You can put in Conspiracy and Arcane Adaptation as key points to the strategy. But then at least you need your commander to be like the reliable part, a reliable part of it. Like even like in the, I brought it up earlier, like the Avengers deck, right? The silly Avengers deck we did, like it actually relied on allies. So General Chazri ended up being really helpful. You know what I mean? In that, so we were only looking for one thing. This deck is looking for 2 things. You need a tutor for 2 things before you even start going. And then like, what if you don't get either of the, you don't get any of the things you want. So you're just kind of playing regular commander and you're just drawing things like Moldgraph Monstrosity and Stalking Vengeance. Like these are 7/8 drop creatures. Like, oh man, I can't just wait until I get to play these. Like,
and right. And so naturally to try to combat that, I put in a lot of little creatures that tutor up lands, right? Like your, whatchamacallit, your Sakura Tribe Elder, excuse me, stuff like that, so you can get more lands down on the battlefield. But again, I don't want to hit those with a Gishath trigger, right? Like I don't want to hit a Sakura Tribe Elder. I don't care about that anymore. So it's yet another reason. Like this deck.
Would it be better than to include just instead of Sakura Tribe Elder, you include Rampant Growth, right? Like that's the same thing essentially.
I mean,
right?
It's the same number of cards. Like if I hit a Rampant Growth or a Sakura Tribe Elder, it's the same difference.
That's
like
true. That's true. Yeah, you're right. Sorry, I forgot what Gishath did. It doesn't just search up the top number of creatures. It just looks at the top number of cards and puts the creatures.
Yeah. So then you get stuck with so the more ramp you put, the more diluted it gets. This would be true for a traditional Gishath all dinosaur brew as well.
Right. Yeah.
But so I think a lot of your energy, a lot of the times when you play this deck, it's mostly just big idiots swinging in and hitting things, which is not the worst. Right? Like as a backup plan, it's not terrible.
No, it's not terrible, but there's definitely better ways to make that deck, right? So yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah.
The toughest part is that I want to hit with Gishath and cheat out a whole bunch of creatures that aren't actually dinosaurs. But to make it work, the likelihood of that happening is very slim.
Yeah, it's that stretch of having to get 2 splash colors. 2 off-color things. Conspiracy and Arcane Adaptation being the 2 things that are not in those Gishath colors is a real pain in the butt.
Yeah.
Right? Like, man, there couldn't be a green card that did that. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
Why can't green mess with the creatures? I guess because green's all about the natural order and, it doesn't want to change what they are, I guess.
I mean, yeah, we'll so, I mean, I say I'll put this point in later on, but, why not give us 2 white, search for an enchantment, put it into your hand? Why not?
Yeah.
What's wrong with that?
What's wrong with that? Nothing's wrong with that.
They gave us one from Theros that is 6 mana, search for 2 enchantments, put it into your hand. But where's the 1 enchantment version of that? Or unless you mean Idyllic Tutor, which is $20 because it is 3 mana, search for an enchantment. But how about a reprint of Idyllic Tutor then? Well, or make it cost 1 more mana and make it instant, and then make that a thing. Then Modern won't want it so badly. I
think you're right, man. I think the Diabolic Tutor version of Idyllic Tutor is 2 white sorcery, search for an enchantment, put in your hand. I don't think you'd find anyone arguing that is a broken card or too good or anything.
No way, man. What's wrong with it?
That's basically a commander playable card only.
Right?
Yeah.
And then if you're gonna say that based on the mana math, if Idyllic Tutor is the proper price, and they don't want to reprint it for some who knows reason, then make it cost an extra mana and make it instant, right? Because that'll usually keep it out of Modern. Modern won't care because they don't want to spend that extra mana on it, even if it's instant. But now we have this extra bonus. How great would that be in Commander?
Here's the thing. I don't even think Idyllic Tutor is expensive because of what it does and its CMC. I think it's expensive, partly because of that, obviously. But I think it's because it's a rare from Morningtide.
Yeah.
And those sets, the rares in those sets tend to be a little bit more expensive than other things, especially ones that do kind of unique things like an Idyllic Tutor. There's not a lot of cards that do this at sorcery speed at this cost kind of thing. So I bet you if they reprint Idyllic Tutor, you'd see that price come down and stay down. And also, it's not too cheap to pay for this, because there's a card that does this for Planeswalkers. There's a card there are cards that do this for artifacts that are basically the same, and those are not expensive cards.
So why, Wizards? Why do you hate enchantments so much? you gave us 1,000,001 ways to look for friggin' auras.
That's the thing. They have no problem letting us find auras. Auras all day long. give us an arcane adaptation that changes all enchantments to auras, so I can just find them.
Okay, so while I'm on this rant, Academy Rector is $50, and that pops an enchantment directly when Academy Rector dies. The enchantment goes right into the battlefield. Cool, that's for sure broken. Would it be so hard to give us a creature that did that? Maybe white 3 for a 2/2 that also tutored an enchantment to your hand. Is that so bad?
Yeah, no, it's not. It's not too bad.
It's well within the realm of what white does, and they don't even come close to giving that. And it's so frustrating trying to brew these decks. Ugh, that's why I'm salty.
The salt.
Then we wouldn't even have to. Then we would have to.
We wouldn't have to be here talking about lost oromancers. We wouldn't have to be having debates over lost stinking oromancers, man. Vanishing 3, get out of here. That's terrible. But here I am trying to convince everybody that this card's pretty good. And it's not. But it's all we got, man. It's all we got. Do you understand? This is where I'm at right now with looking for enchantments, right? Like, if we're not talking about straight up tutors in black, if we're not talking about those, this is what we're dealing with. We're dealing with these dudes with these, like, weird buildings on their heads, you know, in this red smoke. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, anyways. There you go.
And like, no problem getting enchantments back from the graveyard. Like, you love letting us do that.
Once we have them out, we can do whatever we like with them. We can sacrifice them. We can turn them into creatures. We can do all kinds of stuff.
Because you know what's a great color for milling yourself? White.
White, yeah.
Come on, Wizards, please help us out.
Wizards, please. Wizards, please.
Wizards, please. Okay,
we're gonna start the meme of Wizards, please, where it's just like the Academy Rector, idyllic tutor, and like what's the true tutor, the one that only costs 1 white? Enlightened tutor, which is the cheapest of them. Enlightened tutor, because they reprinted it in Eternal Masters, right? Is $11, and it's the cheapest one of those 3.
Yeah.
And it costs 1. And it goes to the top of the library, of course. But like,
and it's instant.
But it's instant, exactly.
So basically, you could be like, you wait till the end and it's like, okay, and then my next draw step will be the card I want.
Wizards, please. Wizards, please.
Wizards, please.
It's just that picture it's that picture of Donald from the Gooby, please.
Yes.
It's Wizards, please.
Gooby pulls. While we're basically hitting the out of budget category already, so why don't you do me a favor and pull up Sterling Grove?
Okay. Yes, I know about Sterling Grove. I like this card.
Yeah, Sterling Grove is about $8, which is about over budget for our podcast, but it's not crazy over budget. It's green white for an enchantment.
Hold on. Don't have it in the notes or in the tabs.
Oh, you know, I think I did those. I don't think I did that. I didn't do the out of budget ones.
You did not.
I forgot to.
You messed up. Okay, go ahead.
Big time. Did I do the? Oh, geez, I didn't do the.
You didn't do like the last half of them. That's okay.
Oh my gosh. So Sterling Grove is, it's green and white. It's an enchantment. Other enchantments you control have Shroud, and then for 1 generic, sacrifice Sterling Grove. Search your library for an enchantment card. Reveal it. Shuffle your library. Put it on top. So basically, it's a 3-mana sorcery speed. Or like half sorcery, half instant. Like, you can cast it at sorcery speed for 3 effectively to put something on top, or 2 now, 1 later, and then put on the top of your library later. This is the cheapest straight enchantment tutor specifically, and it's $8.
And it's the problem with it though is that it's 2 colors, and if you're not in green as well as white, you can't use this card, obviously.
Yeah.
But this card is really good. Being just like this card is the problem with tutors is that like when you have the one you want, it's like, well then I don't know, what am I going to find with this other tutor? Maybe I don't even need anything with this enchantment tutor. When you're talking about specific types of card tutors, right? Like obviously it's always going to get you something, but once you already have your conspiracy or arcane adaptation, it's like, well now what does this thing get? Well, the great thing about Sterling Grove is that it has that secondary option of just coming down and protecting your enchantments, obviously, in addition to the tutor. So it's great. This is one we've actually used on the show before because it's just under $7. It's from Invasion. Anyways, that's the only printing it's ever had from like a regular set. This one's like prime to be included in a commander deck, I think.
Prime time.
And it's only going to ever be included in one of those. Or like a master set because it has Shroud. Like you won't see this be reprinted in any kind of standard legal set.
Yeah, they hate the idea of Shroud.
Yeah, which I get. It's confusing.
I get it.
I was confused at first by it too. The other one is one we've talked about already. It's Enlightened Tutor, right? Like what an amazing card. 1 white. It's part of the cycle of like Worldly and I don't know what's the blue one again. The Mystical. Yeah. And then I guess black was vampiric.
Yeah.
And red? Did red get one? No.
Gamble.
Just gamble? Yeah.
I don't think gamble.
No, it can't be, right? Anyways, yeah, right. This is what we're talking about. This card's $11. Somehow it's the cheapest one, but it's obviously great if you want to get enchantments. And what's
and we talked about Idyllic Tutor too, right?
Yeah.
All these things, right? Like they don't give it to us. We don't get that.
Wizards, please.
Wizards, please. Let's go to the 3 stars of the deck.
Okay.
These are some cards that make the deck hum and haw. Not really.
Wait, that sounds bad. No.
Not haw, just hum.
Just hum. Yeah.
3rd star, Lifecrafter's Bestiary. 3 generic for an artifact. At the beginning of your upkeep, scry 1. If it ain't Gishath or your enchantments are a way to get him, put it on the bottom. Whenever you cast a creature spell, you may pay green. If you do, draw a card. We want to draw that card so we can get closer to our good stuff.
Yeah, hopefully. What was I about to say? I was about to say something else. Oh, well. Never mind. Next one is Key to the City, another big ST fave. 2 mana, generic artifact. Tap to discard a card, and then up to 1 target creature can't be blocked this turn. So that helps with Gishath, obviously. Get him through. And then whenever Key to the City becomes untapped, you may pay 2, and if you do, draw a card. So it's a instant, like, at the time you want it, get a guy through, and then next upkeep you get to draw that card back, sort of. You get to replace the card that you had to discard. So it's like a very slow rummage to help get a creature through.
Yeah.
Which when you're talking these big creature decks are great.
And like Gishath has to get through. Right? Like if your opponent has defense against Gishath, this deck, it like after all that work, you finally get a setup and your opponent's got blockers, you're like, no, I can't even attack. So like we got to have some unblockability stuff, right? And since we're not leaning on blue heavily for that, this is the great way to do it. And the number 1 card of the deck, I think, is Soul of the Harvest. 4 green. It's an elemental with trample. It's a 6/6. It also fills the role of sort of just a big beater. It's a 6/6 trample, which is not super big, but it's getting there. But whenever another non-token creature enters the battlefield under your control, you may draw a card. So this includes when Gishath hits and we get that action going, we get to draw cards off of that. And again, card draw is so key in order to get us to the good stuff in case we're not there already.
Yeah, Soul of the Harvest is a great one that just turns Gishath's ability into also draw a couple cards, right?
Yeah.
Really solid. And it's great. I love this card in Commander. 6 mana is kind of a lot, but 6/6 trample's nothing.
Not nothing.
And especially when it's also a dinosaur, right? Like, that's great.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah, and then there were a couple of surprises and discoveries, for sure. In the tutor category, I think Insidious Dreams is pretty neat. It's an instant. It's 3 and a black. So it's not as heavy on our mana base because it's not double black. It's only single black. As an additional cost to play Insidious Dreams, discard X cards from your hand, search your library for X cards, then shuffle your library and put those cards on top of it in any order. So you lose those draw steps, but this has the ability to get you 2 cards or 3 or 4, so you can get the whole piece of your combo going for only 4 mana. You can get the next 2 parts of it. You have to lose 2 cards to do it. It's pricey, but for this effect, I don't think it's pretty decent.
I think this card is pretty solid. I've never seen this card or heard of it before, and I already want to include it in a couple decks. This is a crazy good card for graveyard decks.
Yeah.
Right? Where the discard is not a downside. That's insane. So it's a 4 mana tutor, but you can, and it's to the top of the library. So I guess you could argue that's not all that good. But when you're talking about setting up a combo or something, I mean, this just gets you multiple pieces of it. Yeah, this is very interesting. And I you know what, one thing I do love about sort of paying off knowing a little bit about whatever format you're playing, whether it's Commander or whatever. Like, the flavor text of Insidious Dreams says, Chainer dreams of ultimate knowledge. So if you know Chainer is the guy who reanimates creatures, and that's what his card does, it's like, oh yeah, Insidious Dreams works well in a reanimator deck. Like, it's like, you know, if you were just new to the set that this came out in, which is, I don't know, what, Torment. So if you, you're just kind of familiar with that, and you kind of put 2 and 2 together and go like, oh, Insidious Dreams goes well with that guy. Like, yeah, which it does, of course. That's really cool. And
Yeah,
I love that it's an instant too. I know you mentioned that too. Like the fact that it's instant speed it actually makes kind of a big difference.
yeah, and if you have the ability to draw a little bit of cards, you can like probably draw them all the ones you put on top. It is tough to tutor up 2 or 3 cards and they're all sitting on top of your deck. And you're just like, oh, come on, give them to me. That is a tough situation. But yeah, I think I'm glad to have discovered this. It's less than $3. Pick one up. And then one more surprising
we got
discovery.
another one here. Yeah.
Yeah, this is if you have any sort of commander that is multicolored that wants to attack. How about Psychotic Fury? 1 and a red for an instant. Target multicolored creature gains double strike until end of turn. Draw a card. So it replaces itself, and it gives Gishath double strike. So we either get to hit for 14 damage and flip that many cards, or if our opponents put up a little bit of a defense to try to, trade off against Gishath, we'll give them double strike and probably survive that combat and still get a bunch of trample damage through to get the triggers.
This is an awesome card in Gishath. So, recently I've been testing out the commander decks that we've been brewing. The decks I'll play against are like this sort of random like general just like creature deck that I have, and then I've been playing a lot against the Gishath deck I brewed for our show. So just because like I know that I have them set up properly in Forge, so like I can just play against them really quickly.
Yeah.
So I've been playing against Gishath like kind of a lot, and he's like the computer always just ramps like crazy, gets Gishath out, and then most times me or the other computer don't have 6 power blocking up because I always forget he has haste. So he just comes down, hits. But think about it, like even if you had the blocks, like Psychotic Fury is so good. And we've always been a big fan of a card like this, which, is pretty situational. But as long as that situation applies to your commander, which is obviously a card you always have access to, that card is useful. And especially Gishath wants to hit, and like hitting twice with Gishath, take my word for it. Even playing against an AI in like an open source program, hitting twice is like you're gonna lose. You're not gonna win that game. He's gonna get like, I don't know, 8 dinosaurs from that probably.
Probably.
Like,
and if one of them's Verdant Suns, it's gonna gain a ton of life.
It's a beating. It really is a beating. One full 7 hit from Gishath is usually pretty bad. Obviously, you've got to have a good number of dinosaurs, which this deck does, and the other deck I brewed does too. So Psychotic Fury is a monster of a card. That's crazy. I'm glad to see that this exists.
Well, and then I often run Teamer Battle Rage, which gives trample and double strike conditionally as long as you have power 4 or greater somewhere on the board, which is, I always forget about that because it's almost always true.
Yeah.
But that one doesn't replace itself, and if Gishath already has trample, you're really just doing it for the double strike. So this is a straight upgrade.
It really is.
I mean, the disadvantage is you can't use it on something like Moldgraph Monstrosity because it's not multicolored.
Correct.
That kind of sucks. But I mean, I think for that replacement effect in Commander, that's valuable enough that I would favor this over Teamer Battle Rage.
And I agree with you. I think I would favor it over too. But I think you just include both, probably, right? Like they're both absolute monster cards if you have Gishath out.
Yeah,
I mean, they're huge.
And to be fully honest, if we weren't on budget constraints, I'd just put Burrow's Charm in above Teamer Battle Rage.
Yeah, right. Yes. Okay. Boros Charm, very, very good. How much is a Boros Charm these days?
It's got to like $3-4, something like that.
Right. So that just eats up a lot of the budget we're dealing with. Yeah, it's like $3.
Yeah.
That's been reprinted a few times now too in Commander decks, and wow.
Too good.
Too good. It's a good card. Great card. Yeah, very interesting deck. I'm guessing this probably isn't one you are looking at putting together in real life.
Well, here's what I'm thinking.
It's a lot of hoops to jump through. It's a lot of setup costs.
Hoops. I'm thinking maybe this is more appropriate over on Discord or whatever, but I'm not done with this deck. I feel like the move is get rid of blue, get rid of Arcane Adaptation, up the budget a little bit to put like Sterling Grove, maybe Spring for that Enlightened Tutor.
Wow.
And then we only have Conspiracy as our enchantment that does that. We don't have Arcane because if you're tutoring up, you only need 1, right? I'm including 2 because we don't have a lot of tutors, and I'm hoping we can just draw one a little bit easier. But I'm wondering, and then if we drop blue, the commander gets to be Saskia, which for our backup plan of just attacking with 8/8 tramplers, Saskia ain't bad leading that crew.
That's true. That's very true. She really turns the deck into more of an aggressive. Like obviously this deck is aggressive in that it wants to get big creatures down and attack, but she's just gonna help that.
So I think to let go of the dream of like just hitting crazy non-dino dinos, and just focus on like, okay, that's one thing this deck can do. Give it a bit more of a tribal thing. Maybe go. I think I'm not done with this deck yet. I'm not done with it. We'll see if I want to brew it in real life after that's done.
I'd love to come back and revisit this and see what. It's funny you did this, and we're talking about revisiting this deck because I had an idea after Rick's came out to revisit Gishath proper and like see what, if anything, has changed about that dinosaur deck. Is it just still a mass of dinosaurs, or is there now more of a theme? I think there's a bit more of a theme to it, and I think Enrage becomes a much bigger player in the new Gishath deck.
Do you think it's like that's a double episode? Like it's like, it's the
we'll revisit this
and Gishath?
Yeah, I think that is. I think you can look forward to for one episode us going back to the old format of doing 2 decks. And it'll be revisiting 2 Gishaths. I think it's a great idea. Let's do it.
Okay.
Let's do it in a bit.
Okay. Yeah. So your homework is listen to this one and the old Gishath.
Yeah.
I mean, you're already listening to this one, so you already know the fact that you know that this is the homework means you've already done half of it.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. You're halfway there. Go back and listen to the other Gishath, and then in a couple months or whenever it is, a couple weeks, we'll revisit.
Cool.
Great.
Oh, that's exciting. And you got a little behind the scenes look at show planning.
We just show planned right in the middle of an episode. What other podcast does that? You can't ask. You can't even. Are you kidding me? We're getting business done while we're doing the business, man.
Yeah, I mean, we're not going to go so deep as to talk about our schedules.
Although I believe we have before.
Yo, when are you busy on Wednesday?
Well, I've got some things to do on Wednesday. I've got an audition. Yeah, I'm not going to get into that. But thanks everyone for listening. This one was fun. We've got a Brews News segment coming up, of course, as always. But that's the show.
Yeah, man. Great. Thanks for listening.
Okay, cool. I thought you were going to add something there. Guess not. All right.
Well,
bye.
Bye.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Brews News. I'm Andy.
And I'm Sean. This week, the Brews News Artifact Review.
Featuring the Headmaster.
Many citizens of Kaladesh are asking the question, is Smuggler's Copter that good? I think Smuggler's Copter is a great artifact. As you know, you can crew it with just 1 power. Any creature that has 1 power can crew that vehicle. That's almost every creature. That's value. And on top of that, when you attack, you get to loot. Now, wizards, this is good design, giving us options. We want options. Keep giving us options. Don't take away options. Don't ban our artifacts after we've barely gotten the chance to play with them. That's my complaint to you. Other than that, though, Smuggler's Copter as an artifact gets top marks in my book. I think it gets an A-. And I'm taking off a little bit because it is smuggling things, and smuggling is against the rules. I'm all for breaking the rules when it's good fun, but the people of Kaladesh don't want their things smuggled unnecessarily, unless you're smuggling it for the side of good. The morality between good and evil is a construct that exists within all of us. Who's to say what's good and what's evil? You? Sure. Next, many citizens of Dominaria ask the question, what's Worldslayer like? Well, I'm going to review Worldslayer. This is a fine-looking piece of equipment. It costs 5 to cast and 5 to equip, which seems pricey, but look at this. This is quality design. Look at this. You can't break it. You can't. It's not going anywhere. This is good design, right? It's solid. It's solid. Like, I bet you I could smash this against the table and it wouldn't even.
Yeah, there's something about that headmaster. I feel like I recognize him.
I'm not sure. I just trust him with everything he has to say.
Yeah, me too. The headmaster. Okay, well, we're all tapped out. We'll pass the turn to you guys. Good night.
Good night.
If you want to contact us, I'm at Sean Tabaris.
And I'm at Andy Holbone.
Send us an email at commandersbrew@gmail.com.
You can find out when we go live on Twitch if you follow us at twitch.tv.
And if you care to support us on Patreon, check us out at patreon.com.
And you can find our deck list on tappedout.net.
And if we forgot anything, commandersbrew.com.